Hello and welcome to my channel. Here, you'll embark on captivating journeys filled with unforgettable stories, unexpected twists, and deep emotions. Stay tuned for new adventures that will inspire and move you every day.
Dr. Andrew Reynolds was one of Chicago's most respected physicians, known for his clinical expertise and unwavering dedication. Yet behind his crisp white coat and confident demeanor lay a heart heavy with sorrow. For years, Andrew had carried the weight of losing his beloved wife in a tragic accident, a loss that had left an unfillable void in his life. Every week, without fail, he made a solitary pilgrimage to a modest cemetery where his late wife was interred. Clutching a small bouquet of white roses, he would stand in silence, revisiting memories of laughter, love, and moments of tenderness that now felt like echoes from a distant past. That ordinary morning, as Andrew was immersed in the relentless rhythm of hospital rounds and critical patient care, his routine was shattered by a sudden vibration in the pocket of his lab coat. Glancing at his mobile phone, his heart pounded as an unfamiliar number flashed on the screen. With a deep, apprehensive breath, he answered the call. The trembling voice on the other end delivered shattering news. "Dr. Reynolds, your daughter, there's been a terrible accident. Your daughter, Emily, is in critical condition. They're rushing her to the emergency room now." In that instant, the world around him seemed to freeze. Andrew's mind, so accustomed to remaining calm under pressure, was instantly overwhelmed by raw paternal terror. Emily, his bright, 15-year-old daughter whose smile had once lit up every room, was now fighting for her life. Without hesitation, Andrew bolted from his office and navigated the labyrinthine corridors of the hospital. The usually familiar hallways transformed into a scene of frantic urgency as nurses and orderlies rushed past him. Every step echoed with the weight of impending doom. When he finally reached the trauma bay, his eyes fell upon the sight that would haunt him forever. Emily lay on a gurney under harsh fluorescent lights, her small body marred by visible injuries, her face pale and marked with bruises, and her eyes closed in unconsciousness. In that moment, Andrew was torn between his role as the composed, methodical doctor and the devastated father whose heart ached with the fear of imminent loss. The beeping of monitors, usually a reassuring sound in the chaos of emergency medicine, now hammered relentlessly like a countdown to an uncertain fate. Overwhelmed by the juxtaposition of clinical routine and personal catastrophe, in the sterile chaos utterly of the emergency as he stood at his daughter's side, as doctors and nurses worked tirelessly to stabilize Emily, single, desperate Andrew's mind became a battleground of memories and emotions. He recalled with piercing clarity the days when Emily was a carefree child, running through parks, laughing freely, and displaying an infectious joy that warmed his soul. He remembered the gentle sound of her voice when she declared, "Daddy, I want to be a doctor just like you," a promise that filled him with pride and hope. Now, as he watched his daughter lie vulnerable on the hospital bed, those cherished memories clashed painfully with the stark reality of her condition. Amid the flurry of urgent medical interventions, Andrew's colleague, Dr. Michael Carter, approached him and placed a steady hand on his shoulder. "We're doing everything we can, Andrew," Michael said in a calm, reassuring tone. Yet even as these words tried to offer solace, Andrew's internal turmoil deepened. Every beep of the monitors, every whispered instruction from the medical team resounded with a dual meaning: a clinical update on Emily's condition and a reminder of the fragile line between hope and despair. In that dimly lit room, time seemed to slow. Andrew's eyes never left his daughter's still form, and his thoughts drifted uncontrollably between the harsh immediacy of the present and the tender recollections of past joys. The relentless sound of the machines became both a lifeline and a torment, punctuating each minute with the possibility of either recovery or irreversible loss. As he stood there, torn between his duty as a doctor and his desperate longing as a father, Andrew felt the crushing weight of uncertainty. Every second was a reminder that the life of his precious Emily was hanging in a delicate balance, and that for the first time in his long career, his own heart was betraying him with raw, unfiltered fear. In the background, the steady murmur of the hospital's busy corridors provided a stark contrast to the intimate, heart-wrenching scene unfolding in the trauma bay. Andrew's mind normally so resolute and focused in the face of emergencies, was now a swirling vortex of hope, regret, and anguish. The images of a once vibrant and smiling Emily merged with the clinical details of her injuries, leaving him with the painful realization that the battle for her survival was as much a personal fight as it was a professional challenge. And as the minutes ticked by, Andrew's silent prayer for a miracle began to take root, a prayer that, against all odds, would soon shape the course of their lives. Time in the ICU seemed to slow to an excruciating crawl as Andrew Reynolds remained at Emily's bedside, his eyes fixed on the monitor, while every passing second hammered home the fragility of life. Amid the persistent beep of machines and the soft murmur of busy staff, a hushed conversation between two senior physicians began to catch his attention. Leaning slightly closer, Andrew strained to catch their words. One doctor, speaking in a tone both measured and cautious, said, "Our second analysis shows that although her brain activity is very weak, there are faint signs of reflexes, small signals that weren't there before." Another voice, that of the head surgeon, added, "If these signals persist, we might be able to attempt an experimental protocol aimed at stimulating neural recovery. It's uncharted territory, but it could be the spark we need." A surge of cautious hope coursed through Andrew. These words, though technical, were like lifelines thrown into an otherwise stormy sea of uncertainty. For a long moment, his heart pounded in synchrony with the rhythmic beeps, each one now carrying the promise that perhaps Emily was still fighting, that her body might yet respond to an intervention. Driven by a desperate need for answers and a father's unwavering love, Andrew approached the lead physician. His voice, usually so firm and composed, trembled as he asked for further details. "Doctor, what exactly does this experimental protocol involve? What are the risks and chances for success?" The physician regarded him with empathy, aware of the personal torment behind his clinical inquiry. "Dr. Reynolds," he explained softly, "the protocol involves advanced neural stimulation techniques that we've only recently begun to explore. It's designed to reactivate dormant pathways in patients with severe brain injuries. The risks are significant. We are venturing into a realm where outcomes aren't guaranteed. But given Emily's condition, it's our best shot at giving her a chance to recover." As these words sank in, Andrew's mind became a tumult of conflicting emotions. He recalled the tender memory of Emily's early years, the way she'd giggle as she chased butterflies, the proud gleam in her eyes on the day she first rode her bike, and the gentle assurance in her voice when she declared her dream of becoming a doctor like him. Those memories now danced in stark contrast to the harsh, sterile reality of the ICU. Every minute that ticked by was a battle between his clinical training, which demanded rationality and measured judgment, and his heart's overwhelming plea to save his daughter at any cost. In that moment, as the medical team prepared to implement the new treatment, Andrew felt a profound duality. The experienced physician in him recognized the scientific merit of this experimental approach, yet the devastated father in him clung desperately to any glimmer of hope. The soft hum of equipment, the adjusted settings on the neural stimulators, and the focused determination in the eyes of his colleagues merged into a fragile promise that perhaps, just perhaps, Emily's brain could be coaxed back to life. He returned to his seat, clutching Anna's hand even tighter as he listened to the team's final preparations. Every slight movement on the monitor now took on monumental significance. A tiny twitch of a finger, a faint change in her pulse. Each was a testament to the possibility that his daughter was still in the fight. With a quiet, internal vow, Andrew resolved that he would not give in to despair. Despite the uncertainty, despite the fear, he would stand by Emily's side, fighting for every heartbeat and every flicker of consciousness. And so, in that room filled with clinical precision and raw emotion, the first seeds of hope were sown. Hope that could, against all odds, begin to turn the tide in their battle for life. You said, after the crucial conversation about the experimental protocol, the medical team swiftly prepared to initiate the treatment. The ICU room, already filled with a tense mix of scientific precision and raw human emotion, became the stage for what could be a turning point in Emily's battle for life. Specialized equipment was brought in, a set of advanced neural stimulators, meticulously calibrated monitors, and a complex array of cables and sensors. The room's fluorescent lights flickered softly, casting a clinical glow over the concentrated faces of the doctors and nurses. Dr. Michael Carter and the lead surgeon coordinated the setup, their voices low and focused as they discussed the delicate parameters required for the stimulation therapy. "We're about to begin the protocol," the lead surgeon announced in a calm yet firm tone. "Remember, every minor fluctuation in her brain activity is critical. Adjust the settings slowly and monitor the responses closely." Andrew stood by Emily's bedside, his eyes glued to the monitor, as the team carefully attached the electrodes to her scalp and connected the sensors to the neural stimulator. In that moment, Andrew felt a profound duality within him. As a physician, he understood the science behind the procedure, how controlled electrical impulses could potentially reawaken dormant neural pathways. Yet as a father, his heart pounded with desperate hope and fear, each beep of the machine echoing like a prayer for his daughter's survival. Anna, his wife, squeezed his hand tightly. Her eyes, red and full of worry, silently pleaded with him to remain strong for both her and Emily. The room filled with the soft hum of the stimulator as it began its work. Andrew could see slight changes on the monitor, a barely perceptible shift in the pattern of brain waves, a subtle twitch in Emily's fingers. Every small sign was met with hushed exclamations from the team. "There's a new spike in activity," one nurse observed, while another adjusted the stimulation levels with a careful hand. The procedure was delicate, a fine balance between pushing Emily's brain toward recovery and risking overstimulation that could worsen her condition. Amid the controlled chaos, Andrew leaned closer to the monitor, his breath catching at each fluctuation. His mind was a swirl of clinical calculations and tender memories. Images of Emily's laughter from years past, the sparkle in her eyes as she accomplished something new, and the innocent determination she once expressed when she said she wanted to be a doctor like him. Those memories fueled his resolve. "Come on, Emily, show us a sign," he whispered softly, as if his words alone could coax her back. Time seemed to stretch as the protocol continued, each second filled with the sound of the machines and the quiet, collective hope of the medical team. The experimental treatment was still in its early stages, and although the changes were minute, they were enough to kindle a fragile optimism within Andrew. In that sterile environment, where every moment was a battle between despair and hope, the procedure's gentle progress provided a beacon of possibility. With each new data point logged, Andrew's resolve grew stronger, even as the uncertainty of the outcome loomed large. He vowed then that no matter how difficult the road ahead, he would remain by Emily's side, clinging to every spark of life that the protocol might bring forth. In the days following the initiation of the experimental protocol, the ICU transformed into a space where hope and cautious determination began to intertwine. Andrew Reynolds, still standing vigil by his daughter Emily's bedside, noticed that the once static monitors now showed subtle yet promising signs of progress. Each small twitch of her fingers, every minute fluctuation in her brainwave patterns, was met with hushed exclamations from the medical team. The improvement was slow and measured, a gentle, persistent push against the overwhelming odds. Dr. Michael Carter and his colleagues meticulously adjusted the stimulation settings, carefully balancing the delicate energy of the protocol to encourage neural recovery without risking overstimulation. "There's a consistent pattern emerging now," one nurse observed softly as she studied the monitor, her tone a blend of relief and caution. Andrew's heart pounded in his chest at every new data point. Even the smallest sign of activity felt monumental. Emily's pupils began to react to light, and for brief moments her hand moved as if trying to reach out beyond the confines of the bed. As the days turned into a week, these incremental gains gradually accumulated. Andrew noted that the previously sporadic reflexes were becoming slightly more robust. On one occasion, a soft beep signaled a new spike in her brain activity, prompting the lead surgeon to remark, "Every improvement, however small, tells us her brain is beginning to reawaken." Though the results were modest, they offered the first real glimpse that Emily was fighting back, a realization that filled Andrew with both cautious hope and an acute awareness of the long road ahead. In the quiet moments that followed the flurry of medical adjustments, Andrew found solace in the memories of Emily's earlier years. He recalled how she used to laugh uncontrollably when she painted, her eyes lighting up with wonder at the simplest things and the way she'd insist on learning every little fact about the world around her. Those cherished recollections became the fuel that kept him resolute, even as each passing second in the ICU was fraught with tension. His wife, Anna, remained at his side throughout this trying time. In the dim light of evening, when the hustle of the hospital eased into a gentle murmur, the couple would sit together at Emily's bedside. They held hands and silently watched the monitor, each subtle change, a faint movement of her eyelids, a gentle twitch of her fingers, reinforcing their belief that their daughter was still in the fight. Every little victory, every confirmed data point was celebrated quietly, as if it were a miracle in itself. Though the progress was slow, the determination of the dedicated medical team, combined with the unwavering support of Anna and the resilient spirit of Emily, instilled in Andrew a profound sense of purpose. In that small, sterile room where science met raw human emotion, every heartbeat became a testament to the unyielding strength of the human spirit. Andrew resolved to remain by his daughter's side, embracing each incremental success as a sign that hope, no matter how fragile, could indeed spark a new beginning. After weeks of relentless effort and painstaking monitoring, the long-awaited day arrived when Emily's condition began to show a truly remarkable turnaround. In the quiet, softly lit corridors of the hospital, the atmosphere shifted from one of anxious uncertainty to a measured calm filled with cautious optimism. On a crisp morning, as pale sunlight filtered through the ICU windows, the head surgeon gathered the team for a final update. Emily's brain activity has now stabilized significantly, he announced in a voice that carried both relief and solemnity. Her reflexes are consistent, and we have observed sustained improvements in her neural responses. We can now begin the process of transitioning her from intensive care. At the sound of these words, Andrew's heart swelled with hope. His eyes met Anna's, and in that silent exchange, both parents allowed themselves a brief, heartfelt smile, a spark of joy after so many days of torment and uncertainty. The monitors, once a relentless reminder of how fragile life could be, now displayed a steady rhythm that promised a future of recovery. Every subtle twitch, every soft reaction on the screen was a testament to the resilience of Emily's body and spirit. In the days that followed, as Emily was gradually moved from the ICU to a step-down unit, the hospital buzzed with an air of celebration, tempered by the gravity of the journey that still lay ahead. Nurses and doctors who had labored tirelessly over every minute detail of her treatment exchanged relieved glances as they adjusted her care plan. Andrew spent long hours at her bedside, meticulously reviewing progress reports and clinging to every new sign of life. Every time Emily's eyes fluttered open, or when she made even the smallest voluntary movement, it was as if the universe whispered a promise of renewal. At home, the transformation was no less profound. The day came when the doctors declared Emily stable enough for discharge. In a modest gathering at their residence, surrounded by close friends and colleagues who had supported them through the darkest hours, Andrew and Anna embraced their daughter with tears of joy and whispered words of gratitude. Although Emily remained delicate, the first signs of recovery, her eyes tracking familiar faces, her fingers gently grasping a loved one's hand, filled the room with an indescribable warmth. The gentle patter of rain outside seemed to celebrate the family's reunion, as if nature itself acknowledged that life, against all odds, had prevailed. In that tender moment of triumph, Andrew reflected on the arduous journey they had endured. He remembered every anguished minute in the ICU, every whispered prayer, and every tear shed in the sterile silence of the hospital. It was a journey marked by the collision of clinical precision and the raw, overwhelming love of a father. Now, standing before his daughter with renewed hope, he understood that their ordeal had redefined his calling, not merely as a doctor tasked with saving lives, but as a devoted father and husband determined to cherish every precious moment. As the family gathered together that evening, with gentle laughter and shared memories softening the edges of past sorrow, Andrew silently vowed to honor the miraculous gift of a second chance. The path ahead would undoubtedly hold its own challenges, Yet the renewed light in Emily's eyes and the unwavering support of Anna gave him the strength to face the future. In the quiet afterglow of that transformative day, amidst the soft hum of everyday life, Andrew, Anna, and Emily stepped forward into a new chapter. A chapter defined not by tragedy, but by the enduring power of hope, love, and the miracles that arise when the human spirit refuses to surrender.
If you like these stories, subscribe my channel